Okay, we're on page 11 of your pink Unit 8 note packet. We just finished this first letter C, greatest common factor, for when we have monomials that contain variables. So if we take a look, and we're going to look right here, we've got, for letter D, we're going to split this up very similar to what we did in letter C, and then I'm going to show you another method to use for the problems below. So if we look at this, we've got two coefficients. We're going to use those almost as constants. We've got 35, we have 21, and then we're going to split it up for our variables. Now I'm going to look at just the variables here in my first term and just the variables here in my second term. First term I have n squared times m, and the second term I have m squared times n. So let's list our factors for all of those different components. I'm going to draw a line here just so that we keep everything nice and neat. Here I've got 1 times 35 and 5 times 7. Nice and simple. Here we've got 1 times 21 and 3 times 7. And then I'm going to go over to my variables. I can actually spell all of this out. N times m. I'm going to keep those letters a little separated so that it's not confusing for us. M times m times an n. So let's go in and identify what are the greatest common factors that we have. If we look here for our coefficients, the constants that we've identified, we have a 7 and a 7. We don't have anything else in common. So we know that our number part of our greatest common factor, the coefficient, will be 7. Now let's go in and identify what variables are in common. Well, I can highlight at least one n, and I can highlight at least one m. So I need to include both of those. So I'm going to have 7m n, because I could, in theory, pull out that from both of my given monomials. Now, if I look below, this would be a really, really long list to write, which I did write out for you in your notes. But let's take a look at letter G. If we identify 24's factors, 16's factors, and then we just list these variables, top and bottom, it will be much simpler for us. So we have a to the 6th, b squared, and c, which is actually here, to the 1st. Then down here we have a to the 5th, b to the 7th, and c cubed. I know the factors of 24 are 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6. The factors of 16 are 1 times 16, 2 times 8, and 4 times 4. So we're going to identify here, what is the very largest number that goes into both? And it will be 8. So I know that my coefficient value is going to be an 8. Next, I'm going to look over here. I can only have the smallest quantity, because if you think about it, I can't pull out 6 from a 5, can I? That really wouldn't work out for me too well, because I don't have enough. What I can do, I can pull a 5 out of a 6. I can pull 2 out of 7, and I can pull 1 out of 3, which means I'm going to just adopt the variables and their exponents that have the smallest value. So I have 8a to the 5th power, b squared, and c to the 1st. You don't actually have to write that invisible one. That would be our greatest common factor if you didn't want to make the lists.